Once again, everybody, we are here. Episode number 1, airing exclusively on Twitch and powered by StreamYard. Well, the time has come again. The winter is just about over. Spring is in the air. The weather's getting a little better. And baseball is going to be on your TV in just 3 days. Just the Bambino away, number 3, until we start kicking this off. Joe, what are your thoughts here as we're getting ready to kick off another season of baseball?
I love it. Baseball's in my blood. Baseball is like that best friend. You see them every day. You come home from work. You get to sit back, relax, enjoy the game. You don't have to watch every minute of it to know what's going on, to keep pace with it. And it's there for you every single day from the beginning of April through, for some teams, end of September, early October. Or if you're lucky, and hopefully we all 4 of us are, end of October. So.
I sure hope so. I hope, listen, right now we're at the end of winter, starting spring. I hope we're saying the same exact song at the end of fall, approaching winter, with both of our teams right there at the finish line. But as we all know, only one of those teams will prevail. If it's one of ours, we shall see. I sure hope so, but time will only tell. Well, again, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new series, a new podcast to bring to you all. We're very excited. Again, as I mentioned before, we all come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different passions for the game. Some of us have been watching the game for 20 plus years, pretty much all of us 20 plus years, but each of us probably came in different points of their life where there's a key moment that really stood out to them. I remember, as I was really young, I started to get into the game of baseball with my mom. She was always watching TV, diehard fan growing up. So I remember the early days when I didn't even know really the rules of baseball per se, but it was always on the TV in my household, and I love to just watch it, even if I didn't really know what was happening. I got to tell you myself, when I really started to truly follow game by game, know every player on the roster, know every stats. For me, it was that 2004 Mets season. This was right at the time where I was in middle school. It was right before the quote-unquote new Mets era, from when Beltran made his Mets signing back in the winter of 2004 to the 2005 season. I watched every game that year, played the best baseball game that was ever out, MVP 2004 and MVP Baseball 2005, 2 of the best baseball games that ever came out. And I'll tell you what, I fell in love with this Mets team. I absolutely loved watching the games. First ever ball game I went to was at Shea Stadium, Mets versus Marlins. The Mets lost, setting up a trend that typically happens, the Mets losing. But they have had a few World Series appearances over my lifetime for sure. Will they win one in my lifetime remains to be seen, but I hope it's this year. Joe, how are you feeling about the Mets this year overall? What are your thoughts, fellow Mets fan?
Well, first, let's get introductions out of the way.
I was gonna say, if you don't let Rich talk, he's gonna die.
What was that all about?
Corey's going into his life story here.
Down south,
and
to see there was
Rich
2 other
and Tom
hosts there.
haven't even gotten
Corey,
into
at what point did you get Pete Alonso's name tattooed on your ass? Was that like a 21st birthday, like a little later?
This guy's pulling a rib on us, Tom. I mean, come on. Oh, listen, I'm going to grab it from here because the Twitch audience might be used to my voice. And they're probably happy that I was basically shut down for the last 5 minutes of the show. Corey, thanks for the intro, though. This is Rich. There's Tom Wospil to my right, the former co-host of Savages in the Bronx and representing the pristine team of New York, the elite team in New York. We're talking 27 World Series champions, soon to be number 28 at the end of the year. Me and Tommy Boy coming back at you once again with another Twitch pod. Tom, how you doing today?
We're doing all right. Just drafted Framber Valdez of the Astros, unfortunately, on my fantasy team. Don't like that.
Alive.
Yeah, tradition alive of doing a fantasy baseball draft during the podcast. Don't love adding an Astro to the team. Although my team does, we do have Alex Bregman, and my team name is Banging on the Trash Can from the animated show Doug. I just felt like you all needed to know that.
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
I appreciate the reference. Mid-90s cartoons.
Yeah, we got a little picture of Skeeter, banging on the trash can. But I think I put Alex Bregman's face on him. That's what I did.
Love that guy.
That's where we're at.
That's it. That's what I like to hear. Fuck the Astros. Love to hear it. Although it was pretty cool today to hear Carlos Beltran on the Yes Network broadcast making his debut. Obviously, a little combination of both teams. Had a great tenure with the Mets. I can't not talk about and affiliate the Beltran without thinking about the Mets first. That's his team. And if Beltran does get inducted to the Hall of Fame one day, I could probably assume he's going to go in as a Met. Had his forgettable tenure with the Yankees, but made his debut on the Yes Network.
I hear if he goes in as a Met, they're not going to do a bust. They're just going to do a full body of him looking at that curveball from Adam Wainwright, and that's going to be.
Bring that up.
It's just the first full bodied bust.
No, you know,
not even 10 minutes into the show, and we brought up an 06 curveball. Come on, guys.
No, what's going to happen is I'm telling you right now, Beltran's going to get in as a Met. And right before they're going to actually do the induction ceremony. And then about 2 days later, they're going to say, oh, we found a cheating scandal with the ballots. And then the Mets are going to say, nah, get our symbol off his cap in the Hall of Fame. And then boom. Boy, that whole Beltran, the whole thing is a whole sham. It's a shame he was not the manager back when he was initially given the job. That's a whole different conversation. We don't even have to get into that right now. But again, Beltran's one of those guys who played for both of our teams, did a good job in his role for both of our teams. Do I think he should be in the Hall of Fame as a Met if he makes it? Yeah, 100%. But definitely some other question marks there, which, remains to be seen. We'll see how, what happens in that era.
We have a lot of love in the chat right now, gentlemen. A lot of chooches in the chat, as we'd like to call them, as Corey likes to call them, as always. I say as always, but it's episode number 1. But we have Let Corey Talk. I'm sorry, did Corey not do the intro and just snub me and Tom at the beginning? Did I just miss that? All right. I love Corey Fast from Greg Kendari 11. I got root Corey. We want Corey free, Corey free, Corey free, Corey more, Corey Savage. Corey, they love you tonight.
Listen, what can I say? Right now, we got this show from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. Join me at 11 p.m. for a fireside chat. That might just be a one-on-one.
Good God, man. Well, I guess it's fair enough to get some obviously we're doing intros, but let's get some backgrounds here if the audience really cares. Joe, tell us about your background, how you became a fan of the team, what got you into the pod. Why are you doing this pod today, bud?
Well, first and foremost, I love baseball. I started out when I was younger. My parents, much like Corey, my mother was a huge Mets fan. My father's a huge Mets fan. I grew up watching them. Some of my best memories involve the Mets. And for me, baseball is part of my life. Like I said before, it's a friend that I see every single day. There are times that I can remember in my life that baseball actually got us through some difficult times. I remember sitting on my couch, after 9/11 and watching Piazza hit that home run on September 21st. And, from me, it was really special. And for my mom, it was very special because she worked at the Deutsche Bank building that faced the World Trade Center. She got the last ferry off the island that day. And for me, I associate baseball with helping my family heal in a difficult time. One of the Mets' greatest games was the 8-run comeback in the 8th inning. It happened on my mom's birthday on June the 30th. And for me, it's always been a part of it, no matter where I am when I was off at college or anything like that, I could call up my father and say, hey, did you see the game tonight? And it gave me something to talk about my father with, even if I hadn't seen him in 2-3 weeks. So it's always been that way for me. I'm excited about it. This isn't the first time I've actually hosted a show. I hosted a radio show in college for 4.5 years. Staten Island Joe and Franiac show with my old partner Justin Franiac. He's made a name for himself now. He's hosting a morning talk show, Morning Drive, out in Philadelphia. He does a great job. He's now in country music of all things, but it's something I've enjoyed my whole life. Just getting on air, talking about sports, talking about baseball, talking about the things I love. And, I look forward to doing that with you guys, with you gentlemen. We've spent a lot of time together, not so much Tom, but, we've all spent a lot of time talking to each other. And, I think we're going to have some fun here in the coming weeks.
Tom spent too much time hosting a show with a Staten Islander. But Tom, tell our audience a little bit about yourself. It's syllabus week, Tom. We need to know about you, Professor.
Well, currently debating if I'm drafting Seiya Suzuki or Keibert Ruiz. What do you guys think on that? I do have Rutschman, to come up and to be my catcher eventually. But do we think Seiya Suzuki's the truth, or like what are our thoughts?
And I'll tell you what, you said that's a keeper league you're in, right?
Yeah.
There? You know what? I think I take the gamble because, listen, he might not turn out to be anything else, but if it's a keeper league and he ends up being a stud, you're getting him at a pretty good value right now.
I'm thinking the same thing. So lock that in. We've got another pick coming up. Could still get Keibert. Man, do I take Donaldson coming up though? I don't know. So what's the question?
Tom, who the fuck are you? Tell these people who you are.
I'm someone that's in a high, in a very low stakes fantasy baseball league, trying to make big decisions here. Listen, been a Yankee fan my whole life, as most Yankee fans. Our generation came in '96. Remember the whole run. Brought up by Jeter and Tino and Bernie and Pettit and Coney and Wells and all these talented baseball players playing in New York. And just have honestly been a huge Yankee fan ever since. I agree. Baseball is kind of that, like that friend that's there every night. You're always, it's something that, in the off season, I feel like my wife and I watch a whole lot of different, we watch different TV shows and starting this Thursday, I guess I'm not watching a television show for the next 6 months. I'm watching baseball every night. Married to a Met fan, so we watch in two different rooms. So she watches in one room, I watch in another. Sometimes a little bit of crossover there. But I had to deal with Rich last year doing Savages. That was rough. Now we added Rich and two Met fans, so it's gonna be worse. That's about it.
That's Tom. For anybody who doesn't give a shit, the chat's saying free Corey. So Corey, take it from here, man. Why, after all these years, get into the podcast game?
Corey, you're on mute.
New era
I'm the
all
first
over
one.
again.
New era all over again. Listen, I got to tell you, I grew up listening to WFAN. Loved it. Listened to Mike Francesa, Boomer and Carton back in the day, which became Boomer and Gio. Love Evan Roberts. And I always loved talking sports. And we always find ourselves sitting on PlayStation, playing the show, always talking about baseball, who's doing this, who's doing that. And it's great. It gives us an hour here, not only to try and promote our podcast, but just to have fun. It's a good group of guys that we got here. It's a lit chat right now, which is absolutely awesome. And just to get unbelievable chat. And just to answer a few comments, I was asked by Serato13, what's my address? I'll be 41 Seaver Way in Queens, New York. Also, what's my shoe size? 13, just like my over-under for Jacob deGrom starts this year. More to come on that a little later. But but let's see. It's going to be a fun year. I'm looking forward to doing this with you boys. And and Rich, you hosted several podcasts. I know I was a guest on a few of yours, particularly Savages in the Bronx, which you and Tom both hosted. How does it feel for you, Rich, switching over, starting a brand new podcast?
I mean, again, I see Tom on my screen, and I wonder why I keep doing these things to myself. But I'm happy to work with all three of you gentlemen. Obviously, I've been podcasting since, the term before the podcast term was even invented. If everybody remembers me back,
definitely not true.
Date. I'm sorry, what was that, Tom?
I said it's definitely not true.
It's so true, because at that time, it was just called online radio. And so I hosted a show back in the online radio days. So I've been doing this for way too long. People are sick of me. They wonder why I'm still doing this shit. I haven't made $1 off it. I've been in the net red for the longest time. But I have an opportunity here to talk baseball with some of my closest friends and Tom and everybody else in the chat. And I'm looking forward to it. Once again, letting it rip with our new program here, Empire State of Baseball, ESB. And speaking of ESB, obviously we have a lot to cover, but the easiest way to tell your friends about ESB and how to listen in live is to download the Twitch app. And whether you have an iOS or Android device, you can subscribe to Empire State of Baseball It's very wordy, but if you know how to spell, you should be fine. Link is in the Twitter bio, and a few of our guest members already did that. I apologize for not sending out the link more in advance. The link was created yesterday. So that's it. Empire State of Baseball. We start a new era talking baseball here on Twitch. Primarily, obviously, our favorite teams, Yankees and Mets. We got 2 Yankee fans, 2 Met fans, unfortunately. And it's going to be great. So, and I'm looking forward to tonight's show and what we have in store. And Corey, what do we have in store tonight?
We got a lot, ladies and gentlemen. And again, thank you all. The chat is awesome tonight. Love the support we have out here. But listen, we got a lot of things going on for tonight's show. The biggest thing I want to call out here is we have over and unders coming soon. We're going to be talking about the Mets, the Yankees, their win totals, where we think they're going to be. We're going to go into some player props. I know I just mentioned a little while ago, Jacob deGrom over under 13 starts. I'm going to right now, you know what? I'm taking the under. I'm concerned that this guy might not pitch 13 games in a Met uniform for the rest of his career. But please don't get me on another rant with that. But we have a very good show. We also have a new segment coming up later in the show. We have the Chooch's Game of the Week. So listen to that. That's going to be a fun segment as well. But yeah, we have a very good show. So keep listening, everyone.
Keep listening, everybody. And we're getting to those team player over and unders. But hey, we had a cool news piece come out of yesterday. The Yankees and the Mets made a trade. And it's the first player for Major League Player trade since Felix Heredia got dealt to the Yankees. The Yanks sent back Mike Stanton in the deal. So again, a similar deal of the relievers switching spots. What do you guys think of that deal, starting with Joe?
Yeah, it was a shocker. Clearly, this is a new Mets regime that isn't worried about trading with the Yankees. You know, the problem when the Mets and Yankees always make a trade is the grand worry that you have to now send a player across town and risk that player becoming a star for that team and seeing that player every single day on the back page of the Post or the Times, knowing that you gave them up. That's why big trades, you know, back in the day, we had that, you know, talk for Harvey, for, you know, Judge or Sanchez back in the day. Those trades don't happen between these two teams. When they do happen, it's usually for a bench piece or most of the time 2 relievers like this. In this particular case, the Mets had a need at lefty reliever, and the Yankees wanted to add a little bit more velocity in the back end of the pen outside of just Chapman. In this particular case, I liked Castro. I thought that Castro was the better player in this deal. That being said, the Mets really, you can't go into the season with just Chasen Shreve as your only left-handed option out of the pen.
God, no.
And that they have made a calculated risk that the lefty will help just from the nature of being a lefty versus having Castro out there being out there like he was last year. I think he was good for us last year. You know, I hate to see him go because he throws hard. He's got stretches in him where he can be a dominant middle reliever. But, you know, it's one of those we'll see at the end of the year which one it worked out. And I don't think the overall impact on the team is going to move the needle for either one of them.
Joely Rodriguez, a 2.84 ERA in 21 games with the Yankees last year. Tom, the Yankees have a couple of lefties already docked for spots in that bullpen, including with the announcement that JP Sears is making the opening day roster. I guess this was just more of a move for the Yanks to say, well, we have the depth at this position, and we could probably use a more formidable reliever. What do you think?
Joely Rodriguez stinks.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm surprised anyone.
That's it.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, Corey, Joely Rodriguez is a very effective pitcher against lefties and a very, very, very bad pitcher against righties. And in a league where we still have the 3-batter minimum, he is someone that can cause you a lot of stress. You know, there's definitely times he can come in and look good if you have a couple lefties in a row coming up, but I don't know. I'm surprised anyone wanted Joely Rodriguez. I mean, in all honesty, he was bad last year.
Well, I mean, you know, the one thing about the NL East is we have a division loaded with good left-handed hitters. And you need a counter to that. You know, Harper's in this division, Soto's in this division. These guys are going to kill you in the late innings if you do not have a left-handed bat to throw that off. So, and yeah, you know what? The Phillies are going to, counter that with having Castellanos bat right behind Harper or vice versa. And Cruz is going to bat behind Soto to give him some protection. But you need a way to get these guys out. And the Mets did not have that late in their pen when the games are close. You'll have to risk that, depending on the situation, having them face the right-handed hitter, because at the end of the day, you don't want Soto and Harper beating you. You'd rather let Cruz beat you after you've gotten Soto out. So and as Greg Kandari brings up, Greg Olson now, who replaced Freeman. So I think that this was needed because of just the bats in the division that are going to give you headaches late in games.
You just got to hope that you're bringing him into a situation where he gets out of it, because if he then has to go against righties, he's gonna break some hearts.
And relievers are fickle in this league. I mean, we can go back and forth. How many relievers have had great years followed by bad years followed by great years again? So, you never know. I think this move for the Mets was about putting themselves in a position to counter those bats late in games, and I think they had to take the risk. There's not much out there left on the open market. A lot of the other left-handed relievers were swallowed up pretty quickly. Aaron Loop was great for us last year, but there was no way they were going to match what the Angels way overpaid for basically a left-handed specialist. I mean, that's probably the biggest left-handed specialist contract in the major leagues right now. So
100%. And yeah, Loop was phenomenal for the Mets last year. And it's a shame that they weren't able to get a lefty earlier in the market. And listen, I don't want to hype up Castro. It's not like we're giving up Tug McGraw in his prime here. But the guy, despite some of the headaches, he would get you 2, maybe 3 innings. And if you're going to do a possible opener on opening day, doing a bullpen game on opening day, he probably would have been the guy to do it, because he was going to give you 2 or 3 innings, most likely, out of that opening spot. But anyway, we're going to move on here. I mentioned before that we do have some over-unders coming up. So we are going to move to a new segment here. And again, we have a new season upon us here. We have the Mets, and we're going to read off some FanDuel odds here for both the Mets and the Yankees, all right? And Joe, I'm going to start presenting one to you with the Mets.
Yeah.
We have the Mets over under. Again, FanDuel odds today. Feel free to bet right now. 88.5 wins. Joe, what are your thoughts on that?
Listen, this is a good team. Obviously, anytime you lose a guy like DeGrom, it's going to hurt. But I'm going to go over with the 88.5. I know the division's good. I don't think they're a 95 win team. I don't think they're a 97 win team. I think they're around that 92 win mark. I think I think the Braves and the Mets are going to be right there with each other at the end of the day. This is a strong team, despite the gloom and doom. I know we've had a rough week with DeGrom going down. Scherzer having a little problem with the hamstring, and nobody knows what Castro and Walker are going to give you at the moment. But this lineup is a deep lineup. And for the first time in a long time, the Mets have a professional bat at every spot in the lineup. There is no easy out. And the first 2 guys off the bench are also professional bats. So I am very confident that this lineup might not be to the 06 level lineup where that lineup was almost perfectly balanced and perfectly created, but this lineup is close. There is a bat that can hurt you at every step of the way. I expect a rebound from at least 2 of the 3 of Lindor, McNeil, and Smith. If you get all 3, watch out, because this could be one of the better offenses in the league. But I think the offense is going to carry us until we get DeGrom back. I'm not that you have to be worried about DeGrom, but it is not a soft tissue injury. It is a fracture in the back of his shoulder. It will heal. Bones heal very quickly. So I think once we get that out of the way, the chance of re-injuring that, unlike, a labrum or something like that, is less. So, let's see where we are June 15th. Let's get our horse back, and then we'll go from there. But I think this is a team that's going to compete with any of these teams in this division.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely quite possible. And I do agree with you with the lineup. I think the lineup is very much improved. It's going to be significantly better than it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree that two of those three guys, I think McNeil is going to have somewhat of a bounce back year. And Dom Smith has looked pretty good so far in spring training. They say he's in phenomenal shape.
He's hitting like 440 or something.
Yeah, he's hitting over 400. He had the mystery shoulder injury. No one knew he had a shoulder injury until about 2 weeks ago last year. And sure enough, he played the whole year with it. So I think that's a plus. But the rotation, going into the season, we kept saying, if the rotation's healthy, if the rotation's healthy, if the rotation's healthy. Here we are a few days before opening day, and we might have a bullpen game for opening day.
I think Scherzer's going to start. I mean, he's got a hamstring issue. It's not an arm issue. He's had this before. It's a tweak. He's clearly not at a point where he's going to go on the IL. I think the Mets are going to have a contingency plan. McGill will be in the rotation for the first few go-arounds, if not until DeGrom gets back. Listen, if Scherzer's got to sit a week to rest up and make sure that hamstring's fine, I think they'll be fine. But, let's not overreact. Again, we lead off with the Nationals. The Nationals are a very, very bad baseball team. And
they got better, Joe.
No,
that's
Rich.
They're slightly better over this offseason. I will say, and I'm gonna shout out Jay Hertz 122 with this comment. Hate to say it, under 88.5. They're an 83 and 85 win team, and that's with everything going right. Bullpen is a giant question mark, and the rotation depth will be tested all year. Problem is, if DeGrom gets healthy from this, he still has the issues from last year looming that are unresolved. I kind of agree here. I truly do think the NL East is the one division that I felt like every team improved, even if it was ever so slightly, improved this offseason. It's going to be a tough go around for the Mets, especially to come off these possible injuries. We hope for the best for Sergio. I'd never root for an injury, but the DeGrom thing is a holdback, and it's just set the tone for this Mets season. I'm going to probably stick with maybe like an 85 win, but I'm going under. Tom, do you agree? Hopefully you do.
I don't. I think the Mets are going to go over. I really do. I think the division has gotten better. I agree with that. The Phillies have gotten a lot more potent. The Braves are the champs, and they've made some improvements. Just getting Acuna back, that's pretty nice. But I do think they can go over that. I think, Cohen will be someone also at the deadline to keep in mind that he'll just keep spending more money if they need to go out and get to get a pitcher and trade away prospects and to do whatever they got to do. They are going to do it. I think DeGrom it's scary that he's hurt again. It seems like he's someone who's been getting a lot of these like freak injuries. It's just another like odd thing yet again with him, but hopefully he can bounce back. He's electric to watch, and I think all baseball fans would say they you gotta love watching Jacob DeGrom unless he's pitching against your team, in which case you would rather him not be there. But I do think they can go over that. It just depends if that's gonna be enough to win the division or not.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
And I think there's also some recency bias here. I mean, let's be real. If the Mets made all the moves that they made this offseason after the lockout ended, we would have talked about the Mets offseason being, on par with what the Braves did in the last 3 weeks. The fact of the matter is the Mets locked up 4 players before the deadline, and these players can play ball. I mean, they locked up one of the top 5 pitchers in baseball at worst in Scherzer. You have a guy in Starlin Marte who led the league in stolen bases last year, who's going to be a solid, a cornerstone of your outfield now for the next 4 years. You have a guy in Escobar who could play anywhere on the infield, is a professional bat, and can platoon with Cano, with Davis, with McNeil, whoever is there, whoever's healthy. And at the end of the day, law of averages says that one of these 3 guys in Lindor, McNeil, and Dom Smith is going to have a bounce back season. McNeil was a 315 hitter before last year. At some point, is he that hitter? And that was over a big sample size. I mean, that was over 100 60 something games. That's not a small sample size. So is McNeil a 315 hitter or is he a 250 hitter? I think there's a big window where McNeil can kind of make up that performance. And if he's clicking, that lineup is going to click even more. So yes, they lost Conforto, but I think this lineup is legitimate. And remember, Cano is your second or third option off the bench. I mean, that's a professional bat, regardless of the steroids and all the other nonsense. Robbie Cano is still Robbie Cano, and Robbie Cano is going to hit 260 in his sleep, which is better than almost any other team has on their bench as their seventh guy off the bench.
Yep, 100%. No, Cano, I do think Cano will have a slightly better year than a lot of fans are giving him credit for. I think he's going to come out. I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star because he's not going to be an all-star. We all know that. But having him, as Joe said, as your third option potentially off the bench, that's a professional hitter. But, I mean, coming back to the over-under of 88.5, I think we have a divided room here because I'm also going to take the under. I don't think they're going to be far off. I actually think that 88.5 is a very, very good number for the Mets this year. If you would have asked me this just over a week ago and before the DeGrom injury, I probably would have said the over and pegged them right around 89, 90 wins. Right now, I actually think 87, 88 is a perfect number for them. I do think they make the playoffs as a wild card team. But I think the Braves end up winning the division. I think the Braves are going to be right around 92 wins this year. I'm going to put the Mets in second place, right around 88 wins. I'm going to put them just under this over-under, right there on the cusp. Mets are going to make the wild card, and I think the Mets are going to do damage in the playoffs because of the pitching, and that's where it makes all the difference in the world. But we do have another team in town, and Rich, we'll start with you, good old Yankee fan. Yankees under 91.5 games, coming off a disappointing year last year. How are you feeling about your hometown team?
Taking the under for the Yankees. I'm not feeling confident about these New York teams, boys. I mean, I'm feeling confident, but not the way the FanDuel has us with the over-under right now. The teams this is such a hard team to root for when they had all the opportunity to get better this offseason. And yes, granted, they solved some defensive issues. This is definitely a way better defensive team than it was last opening day. However, 100%. Every team got better around them that they need to fear, and it's gonna be a long climb for the Yankees.
I don't know if that's true.
In what way?
I don't know how you could say every team. I don't know where I'm going. I'm like honestly right on the fence one, but I don't know how you could say every team in the division got better.
The Blue Jays are definitely better.
Blue Jays are
the Blue Jays lost a second baseman who hit 40 home runs in the Cy Young winner.
Don't discount
and gained the third base who could hit 30 to 40.
He's not hitting 40 home runs.
Oh, okay. Well,
Matt Chapman is not hitting 40. Matt Chapman might get 30.
He's probably a better hitter than Chapman.
I agree with that.
He's a better hitter than Chapman. But Robbie Ray, Kevin Gossman's not going to have the year Robbie Ray had last year. Is not going to. I don't
think Robbie Ray's having the year Robbie Ray had last year.
I agree, but that's not, the Robbie Ray left a Cy Young size hole in the rotation. I'm just saying.
Taking the under.
I honestly, I wrote down under because of just the bad taste that the team left in my mouth from last season. But it's just like everyone disappointed last year. Everyone besides Judge
and Stanton,
everyone was just a worse version of themselves. DJ hurt bad. Glaber lost bad. Gary is now gone. Was doing whatever Gary was doing. Who the hell else was even there? Gallo came over bad. Like everyone, and Cole was good, but like everyone else was just a worse version of themselves. If they can just play up to their level, their like normal level, they should go over.
So you selecting both? What are you doing here, man?
I'm taking the I think I'm taking the under, but I think they have I still think they can go over because they have the talent. If these guys just play to their capabilities, and they absolutely can do that.
All right, so I'm assuming two more unders on the Mets side, but Corey, what do you got?
Yeah, again, I think the 91.5 is a very good number that they put out there, but I am going to go with the under. I actually think that both the Mets and the Yankees are right around that 88 win mark. And I'll tell you why for the Yankees. Their lineup is going to be good. The defense, much improved. Obviously, it's a tough division. I do think Toronto wins the division. Also, the Red Sox had a nice year. You never discount the Rays. The Rays always find a way in it no matter what they do. But this is the biggest thing that concerns me with the Yankees in a division where you are loaded with bats, absolutely loaded with bats. You're trusting a rotation that Cole, listen, I think Cole is, when everyone's healthy, the second best pitcher in baseball, no doubt about it. But he did struggle in the second half of last year. You can't discount that. Your number 2 starting pitcher has pitched, 19 innings in the last 2 years? That's a lot of faith for a guy who's matching up with other number 2s in a potential
I don't
series.
think Severino is not their number 2. Their number 2 is more likely Tyone.
Yeah. And again, is Tyone a number 2? You want Tyone number 2 against?
I feel a lot more comfortable hitting number 2 than Severino. I think Severino is more of a 3 or 4. I think you'd even have probably more faith in a Montgomery or a Nestor.
Yeah. Love that.
I think if Severino is healthy, and Severino, let's say he gives you 25 plus starts and he's relatively healthy, I mean, the numbers should be there. He's a guy who I think would, if healthy, would give you around a 3.5 ERA his first year back. He'll put you in a position to win some games.
I'd sign up for that right now.
Oh yeah, 100%. I would sign up for that too if I was in your boat. But I think here's the thing with the Yankees. Their offense is going to produce enough. The defense is much improved. The bullpen's very good. A very underrated bullpen. The phenomenal bullpen, I think. I would take their bullpen in a heartbeat. I'm a little concerned about the starting pitching in that division. I'm going to put them right at 88 wins. Again, another team that's going to finish probably in, I'm going to say second place as well. Same as the Mets. They're going to make the wild card though.
Yeah, listen, I'm at the over, and I know Yankees fans are reading gloom and doom. They're watching the Blue Jays make a lot of moves. This is a 94-win team. The Blue Jays might win 99, but this is going to be a competitive division. And the Yankees are still, when they are clicking, they are probably still the second best offense in baseball. Even with the Blue Jays there, the Yankees massacre bad pitching. This division is loaded with bad pitching. And as for the rotation, I know you guys are worried about the rotation. This is still the second best rotation in that division. I don't know if you guys checked the Rays starting rotation. Who in that starting rotation gives you confidence?
Just
McClanahan's their one. He's got, what does he have? 3/4 of a season of a record. Drew Rasmussen's their number 2. They got Yankee reject and Corey Kluber. Ryan Yarborough's never been a decent pitcher in his life, and you have no idea what you're getting from Luis Patino. So
listen, I just drafted Luis Patino tonight as a bit of a flyer in my league. I'm buying some stock in Luis Patino, from being honest with you guys.
Oh no, he's a good prospect. He throws hard, but you don't know what you're getting from him. So
the Rays are going to Ray. The Rays are always going to find a way and just do what the Rays do, playing in that dumpy dump of a stadium with that stupid roof and the stupid catwalks and the 19 fans in attendance.
But at some point, the Rays are going to have a down year. And while the division is getting better, the biggest move that the Rays made this year was extending their own shortstop. And he's going to be great. I understand that. But around him, I don't see that much in behind him. I have confidence that the Rays are going to be there around where the Yankees are, but I don't think they're a 100-win team this year. The Red Sox, again, are built very similar to what the Phillies are doing in Philadelphia. They are built on offense. There is no pitch in there. Yankees and Red Sox games are going to be 10-9 and go to 1:30 in the morning like they do every single time that they play. But as far as they still got to play the O's, 19 times.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to beat up on teams like Kansas City. They're going to beat up on teams like Oakland. They're going to beat up on teams like Texas. They kill bad starting pitching. And as long as the two big bats stay healthy, I think the Yankees have enough. Now, again, I don't have any confidence in Gallo. Rizzo, I think in a full season in that ballpark is going to do very well. I know people don't like the Donaldson trade. I know that. He is a better hitter than Gio Urshela.
Oh,
He can
yeah.
Could agree with that.
still hit the ball.
That was in our last episode of Savages, that was the point I had brought up is it a Yankee fan. Listen, Gio Urshela is a fan favorite kind of guy, hard player, play good defense. Yankees got him for $25,000, turned him into a very good third baseman in the league. Just a story you'll love. Josh Donaldson, kind of an asshole, been someone who you root against for basically every team roots against him because it's kind of way he plays. He is a much better player than Gio Urshela. He is a much better bat, and he might be a little less of a defender than Gio Urshela at this point, but it's not even comparable to bat. And I think we're going to enjoy the kind of the presence he brings to the team, to the lineup. Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. I think if the Yankees offense, if clicks, can be extremely scary.
Yeah, and I wanted that presence.
Will
I wanted
that happen?
edge. I wanted that edge on that team, Tom, like you mentioned. I wanted it with Correa. I couldn't get it with Correa, so we get it with Donaldson, which is great. The chat, however, has been great. The chat has been lit today, and I appreciate you guys tuning in live, throwing in your comments. I'm trying to read through all of them. We have a Garrett Call burner account in this bit. It's freaking great. John with some good points once again, saying Tom's radiating salty Yankee fan, which is, that was Tom for 30 episodes of Savages.
Listen, I've been to the Trop. It's a dump.
It is dump.
Horrible.
It is the Bloomingdale Park of baseball stadiums. And Core Ryan, life's too short to bet the under. No wiser words have been said, but we have bet the under on the Yankees. But let's flip it over to player props. And this was part of our over-under segment as well. And what we're going to do here as we're going to present our own player props, or it could be FanDuel player props. But what we're going to do here, we're going to present it to the opposing team. So I'll start, and I'm going to present this to the Mets fans here. Over under, Edwin Diaz saves 34.5.
Ooh, that's a pretty good number.
I think that's an over. I think that's an easy over. We all know Edwin Diaz is taking lineage from a long line of Mets closers that want you to pull your hair out. But he's going to get the opportunities on this team. His pitching's going to set him up with Scherzer, Bassett, hopefully DeGrom. He's going to have a lot of games where he's coming in with a lead, with the game close, because the Mets starting pitching is going to keep them in it. I think he'll be over. I think he'll be closer to 40. And again, it's his job. So if the Mets are anywhere near 80 wins, he's going to be in that game in that ninth inning quite often. I think it's an easy over for him.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with Joe. And I know we give Diaz a lot of hate sometimes. The thing with Diaz is sometimes it's like the first pitch and it misses by 3 feet. And you're like, oh, boy, it's going to be one of those nights. And then he can come out and strike out the side on 12 pitches. So the guy is a good reliever. He has a lot of good stuff despite being a bit erratic at times. I am going to take the over also, though. I think this Mets offense is going to put them in position to win some games. Obviously, the pitching is going to put them in position to win some games if they stay healthy. But I do think
do you guys know how many closers or relievers had 40 saves last year in Major League Baseball?
Probably not many.
I'm going to take a stab at
0.
None. Yeah.
Zero.
Yep.
None.
Last year was a weird year. The stats I think last year are a little deflated. I think everybody was being overly careful. Relievers in the first month or two of the year were not pitching back to backs if they could help it. I think that's going to increase, but that does raise the one thought that I had was there's not many closers in baseball that you can rely on right now. I mean, if you look around baseball and you look around the divisions, how many closers with your life on the line are you willing to bring in the game late in games? You might be able to count them on one hand in baseball right now. You got Liam
Yeah.
Hendricks. You got Josh Hader. Josh Hader also gave up a couple home runs last year in the postseason. You got Aroldis Chapman, who's been burned as much as he's had success. There are not many closers in the game of baseball right now. Kenley Jansen's lost a little bit. I don't think he's the lockdown closer that he was in his prime. Kimbrel's obviously had chinks in the armor. This is not the golden age of closers, despite the fact that we have seen upticks in velocity constantly.
I mean, what we're really in is like the golden age of relievers, though. You have a lot of these other guys. Rich mentioned Iglesias out in Anaheim. You got your Emmanuel Clases and Cleveland. These guys that come in. With the Yankees, you have your Jonathan Loizakas. These guys that come in are just filth, but they're not closers. I think that reason. I don't think me saying that Edwin Diaz won't have 40 saves is a shot at Edwin Diaz. I just think baseball is moving away from guys who close. The Yankees have even said that Chapman might not. Chapman historically, he's one of the last pure closers in the league, and they've already said that he's going to be coming into non-save situations this year. So I think we're getting away from that, and I think if you're into taking these player props, taking save unders is going to be smart with the way Major League Baseball is going.
Thomas, what's your over under your player prop for the Mets faithful here?
Yeah, so I was looking on FanDuel to see, and I this number was higher than I expected, but it's the number that's the line. Pete Alonso 40.5 ding dongs.
Ooh, that's right about where. Again, this is why Vegas always wins, because they always put that sweet spot. They know right where to hit you.
Do that research.
Yeah, that's it. You know what? I'm gonna take Pete on the over. I don't think he's gonna have a 50 home run year again like he did a couple years back. At least not this year. But I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna put Pete right around 43-ish home runs. I think he's going to be a big part of this team. Also, having the DH again this year gives him a chance to play a little DH. He's going to be the first baseman. Dom Smith is going to get there whenever you want to give Pete a blow. But I think the lineup is very deep. I'm going to say right around 43 wins. I feel confident with that number. What about you, Joe, Met fan?
Yeah, it's a close line. We know Pete has the capability of hitting way over that. I think it honestly depends on how well the team is clicking around him. Last year, it was a little difficult for him because, McNeil and Smith, who were supposed to be his protection in the lineup while he was protecting Lindor, were not there. He had 37 last year, and I think with Escobar behind him, a better McNeil and a better Smith, I think he's going to probably get to the over. I'd probably give him about 42. I think he's going to start to settle in. He's got the potential where he can hit anywhere from 35 to 50 on any given year. He is a true, 4-hole hidden slugger. And I think that's I think any given year. So I'm going to go with the over just because I think that offense has deepened itself a little bit, that pitchers will be more likely to give Pete opportunities to hit balls out.
I mean, going with an over for a two-time home run derby champion in back-to-back years and someone who averages 46 homers a year, granted it's only 3 seasons, I think it's a safe bet to say the over on my end. Corey or Joe, what do you got for us Yankee fans?
All right. I got more of a team prop.
Oh.
Number of Yankee pitchers who will be over 180 innings this year. Garrett Cole had 181 leading 181 and a third last year. How many Yankee pitchers will be over that mark?
Thomas, what do you got?
So Cole had 181 last year, was hurt, so would probably, had a couple more starts in there. Man, you can't feel good about any of them because the Yankee rotation, although statistically one of the best rotations in baseball last year, is full of question marks.
Put the over under at 1.5. That's
Yeah.
That's your over-under.
Yeah. So you're really asking is because Severino's not doing it. Nestor is not gonna do it. Jordan Montgomery, they never seem to trust him. So you're really asking is Jameson Tyone gonna throw over 180 innings? And I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say under.
No,
Yeah.
Tyone's gonna have at least one stint on the IL. Montgomery, I feel like they have no choice but to trust him at some point. You don't have a fortified 2 starter, and he's probably the only guy that you can look at this rotation and be like, all right, outside of Cole, he's probably the only non-X factor on this team because you know what you're getting out of the guy. Is he going to get to 180? No, I don't think so either.
Tyone had 144 last year.
Okay.
I thought he had 157.1 last year. Oh, sorry, that's Tyone, 144.1. Look at the wrong thing.
Yeah,
I'm going.
And Montgomery had 157.
I'm just going one.
Gotcha.
One
I'm right. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Rich. I think it's just going to be Cole. You know, I just don't see. I personally don't have too much trust in the Yankees rotation outside Cole. Again, their offense is so good, the bullpen's so great that I think they will make the playoffs. I just don't trust that rotation. I'm going to go with
JR Yankee 63. I think I know who that is. He says 2. He thinks Nestor Cortez can do it. I don't know what kind of games he's watching, but Nestor Cortez, he thinks he's going to do it at 180 innings on the year. And listen, that's no knock on Nestor Cortez. I love Nestor Cortez. I think he is a formidable bottom half of the rotation guy, and he did a great job for the Yankees last year. Don't think he's reaching 180 innings pitch.
Yeah.
Corey, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I had one for home runs. I'm actually going to switch. I'm going to give a little shout out to Garrett Cole Spider Tack in the chat here because I like this number. Garrett Cole wins this year 16.5 over or under.
It's another one. The way baseball's going, like how many? I look it up. How many guys won 100 games last year? Probably not 100 games. Jesus, what am I saying? None of them won 100 games.
What is it? 1903?
Yeah. So no one won 100 games. So you know, probably no one's gonna do it this year. Yeah, so Cole won 16 games last year. Walker Buehler also won 16. Wainwright won 17, and Urias out in LA won 20. So you said over under 16 and a half. I would just take the under. The odds are he won't because they don't care about wins anymore. You know, they're not gonna, especially with their prize starting pitcher. If you know he's gone 7 innings and he says he feels good, but it's a tie game, they're gonna go to the formula. They're gonna go to the bullpen and they're not going to burn him out. So like it's not fun. Not a fun answer, but I would say under.
I could agree. I'm going to go under as well. I just don't have confidence in this team winning at the right moments when the right guy is on the mound. Yeah, I'm going to go under as well.
Yep. No, I think I'm right there with you guys. I'm going to say 16 on the nose. Again, it's just because of the way baseball's going. You know, go to the bullpen more often. The Yankees bullpen certainly could do it. I'm going to say 16 on the nose for Garrett Cole. Well, anyway, that was a fun segment we had there, over-unders, and we'll continue to go through some different over-unders throughout the season. Again, we'll see where we are, pull up some different stats.
I don't get an opinion?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
He always talks. All right, go ahead, Joe.
No, I actually think it's going to be over. 2 things. I think that we're going to see a head back towards the norm this year. I think last year, again, was an anomaly. I think pitchers coming off the, basically 70 innings the year before were a little bit babied. And in this particular case, I think the Yankees need their horse. And they are going to push Cole, and they're going to make him earn every cent of that contract. I think he can win 17. I think it's because they're going to push him. He's going to be in games very late. I think he's going to get back to 200 innings this year. I just think that, we're going to see a regression. We're going to see a move back towards a little bit more length as starting pitchers. I think last year you kind of have to take with a grain of salt. And I think in this particular case with the Yankees, they are going to rely on their horse every chance they get. And any chance they get to hand that game from Cole to Chapman, they're going to try and push the envelope and do it. So I think he can win 17. I don't think it's an unrealistic number. I think wins are hard to predict this year just because the bullpens are so involved in the games nowadays. But Cole's one of the few guys in baseball that probably can get to that number. So,
Yeah.
now you can go.
No, listen, great point. Thanks again, Joe. But anyway, we're going to move on here. And again, follow us on social media. We had some good social media interactions. Again, at Realist PF, Mets are done, 70-win team. JD from Jersey, he thought the Mets were going to World Series when John Mayberry was the cleanup hitter. So, again, a lot of different fan takes. If you want to interact with us and have some amusement while we're not on the air, you can follow us on Twitter at ESB Podcast, myself at G Gory, Joe at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J Rivera, and Mr. Whisper Wospil himself at Wospil54.
Whisper Wospil. How do you feel about that, Tom?
It just rolls off the tongue. I had to do it.
I mean, it does something, I guess.
I mean, Tom, you just got to get used to these Chooches, man. I've been dealing with it for 10 plus years, but you'll fit in. You're a ball buster at heart. So even though not for real life, but here we go. We're going to
better than anyone on your team last year. So just look
what?
at the
Yeah.
stats.
Okay. You played one game and had 3 hits. Congratulations. You have the highest batting average last year.
More my OPS as like a 1 dot.
Whatever, dude. Get over it. All right, let's introduce one of our recurring segments, the Chooch's Game of the Week. Now, if you follow us, as Corey mentioned before, at ESB Podcast, you can see our buddy Matt Took. You can follow at mtook45 on Twitter. He actually made a post about what game he feels is going to be the must-watch game of the week, and we're actually going to get that audio clip for you in just a moment, but. Yeah, we'll talk on it, react to it with opening week coming around, and here is Chooch's Game of the Week. Eventually.
What's up, everyone? It's Chooch here with Chooch's Game of the Week here for the ESB Podcast. Congrats, boys, on your first episode. For the Game of the Week for opening day of baseball, it's finally here. My Game of the Week is Yankees versus the Red Sox, Sunday Night Baseball. Yankees, we know, is pitching Jordan Montgomery. Red Sox, who do we got? Tanner Houck, maybe Nick Pivetta. But Sunday Night Baseball with the new broadcast team, I look forward to that. What do you guys think? Who do you have winning that one?
Chooch's Game of the Week, brought to you by Matt. Joe, who's winning the Sunday night game, the Chooch's Game of the Week?
Do we even know who's pitching that game?
I believe we just have Monty as the tagged probable for the Yankees. The Red Sox, as Chooch mentioned before, could be Pivetta, could be Houck, could be somebody else. What are we looking at, boys?
Listen, I mean, it's hard to predict without seeing these guys come right out of the gate. I always like the Red Sox early in the year. They're used to the cold weather, I think, playing up in Boston. I'm going to go with the Red Sox on Sunday Night Baseball. I think that offense is going to be a force to be reckoned with, especially early in the year. Stories coming from Colorado. You have JD Martinez. You got Rafael Devers and Bogarts. I think they're going to be clicking on all cylinders coming right out of the gate. So that's my pick for the first game of the week.
Yeah. No, listen, not bad. And here's the thing with Sunday Night Baseball. It's typically it's supposed to be the most hyped game of the week. And sometimes, depending on how teams are doing, it may or may not end up being that way. I think the problem is I don't think it's a great pitching matchup. Again, the offenses, I think that's going to be a game where both teams might end up walking away with 10 runs, in which case you get a slugfest. That's also then going to be a game where you're up till after midnight on a Sunday watching baseball. So I'm not going to go with that game just because I just think it's going to be a crazy hitting game, which some people might like. I don't want to stay up till after midnight on a Sunday. I'm sorry. I'm going to go with a different game this week. I'm going to go with the Angels and the Astros. Little Shohei Ohtani. Again, he's the hot name in baseball. You get to see him. Angels home opener. Astros, always a great team. They always got something going on there. I'm going to go with that game to open us up.
Yeah, I mean, again, the probables haven't been really discussed or confirmed. You got to assume in the Yanks rotation side, again, Monty is probably going to be the guy tabbed. I love the Sunday Night Baseball game. Hate it for the purpose of waking up early for work the next day. But Yankees, Red Sox, you know it's going to go long. As Chooch mentioned, there's a new broadcast team taking over for ESPN, so that's going to be a fun one to watch. I believe it's, if I'm not mistaken, I think David Cohn is the color commentator, play-by-play Somebody's got to help me out here. Is
Isn't
it
it
Boop?
Vasgersian? Isn't it Vasgersian doing it?
Is it Matty V still?
It might be.
Well, we
I
weren't
think
prepared
so.
for that.
Listen, I'll take it from there. I think the winner is us because we're not gonna be listening to the Sunday Night Baseball main feed. We're gonna be listening to K-Rod. We're gonna listen to Michael K and Alex Rodriguez do their own Manning cast debuting this Sunday coming up.
God.
And listen, I think, well, for Mets fans, and maybe Mets fans who don't also listen to the Michael K show, I think you're going to see a much different side of Michael K. I think he is very funny. He's very entertaining. And then you're going to get to see the alien that is Alex Rodriguez. Like, what is he going to say? What weird things is he going to do? What weird voices? Like, he's gonna be weirdo, and it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to K-Rod.
My thing is, where did ESPN hire everybody from? They hired the Yes Network for their broadcast this year. You got Kay, you got isn't O'Neill part of the broadcast now somewhere?
Yeah, Kay, O'Neill, Cameron Maben, Carlos Beltran.
No, they're not. O'Neill's not working O'Neill's not working ESPN.
Oh, we're talking just okay. The ESPN broadcast, which obviously I just got Carl Ravitch, Eduardo Perez, and now David Cohn on the broadcast.
No, but Michael K and A-Rod's on that. David Cohn. I mean, we hired half the Yes Network. I mean, come on. Can we get a little bit of diversity in where we're hiring from? They're all Yankee fans. They're all Yankee homers. At the end of the day,
A-Rod's a Mets fan.
Come on,
if you ever, Alex Rodriguez would marry Keith Hernandez tomorrow if he could.
But the point is the same. The rest of the country who's going to turn into to watch baseball at night is going to say, why we have so many Yankee guys calling this game? Where are people from San Francisco? Where are people from the Dodgers? Where are people from Chicago? I've had enough of it. Michael K is on the air so much. I can't. When the Yankees are losing, he doesn't have enough personality. Get you have a burning building. For me, it's a snooze fest. I'm hitting the snooze button. If I could listen to the games on mute, I would.
I'd rather have the four of us just call the game on ESPN on Sunday. I think that'd be best. Again, I'm trying not to let comments go unwarranted in the chat. I'm doing my best here. But a shout out to Lexi Tiggs, who asked me what ball I had behind me. And this is Mariano Rivera, the greatest New York baseball player ever. Debate for another time.
Yeah, no, listen, I can't deny with you there. I can't deny with you. Another comment in the chat, though. Got to call out Jay Hertz yet again. Gary Keith Ron over any Yankee broadcast. I mean,
boys, we don't have the time to talk about how bad they are.
It's supposed to be an hour show.
There's going to be a new segment. I told Rich about it the other day of what dumb thing did Keith Hernandez say this week? And I'm going to be bringing it to you weekly.
I don't know. I laughed at it, though. So that's my I get entertainment from it. Listen, the Yankees.
When did Keith cry and whine about something being different than 1979?
Wait a second. Yep. You guys got John Sterling and Susan Waldman on your radio team.
Oh, don't you dare.
John's taking a nap while Susan Waldman has no idea what's going on now.
Uncle John and Aunt Susan are part of our family.
Listen, M took 45 in the chat. Nothing beats listening on the radio to a little John and Susan.
It's time for the family to go into assisted living.
It probably is.
And listen, don't get me wrong. John Sterling's never missed a game in his life. He probably is going to go to the Hall of Fame because of it as a broadcaster. But my God, the Yankees, for all their money and for all their hype, can't put two booths together that are entertaining start to finish of a game if their life depended on it.
You have not listened to enough Paul O'Neill.
I don't even have. Oh God, again.
A lot of love for Sterling in the chat. John Sterling is goated from Garrett Cole's burner account. Sterling is the GOAT, JR Yankee. So a lot of John Sterling love in here. I
can't wait for the new home run calls that he's got cooking up for Donaldson, Falefa, and all those guys. But
he's not going to use the Falefa one too much. He might use it 3 times all year, so he better really master it about what 1930s Broadway play that he saw when he was in high school. What is he feeling?
Well, unbelievable stuff. I can't wait to get into more of this stuff, this choochery in New York baseball. But if you guys know somebody who missed tonight's episode, Joe, what's the best way to catch our replay?
Best way to catch. Well, we will be having our YouTube channel up for all episodes of Empire State of Baseball. Will be on our YouTube page. You can link, share, and subscribe there.
There you go. And once again, we get that YouTube page up. We'll let you guys know what the deal is, and obviously keep us followed at ESB Podcast. Corey, you brought us in. Take us home, buddy.
Awesome. Well, again, everybody, we are just 3 days away until we're sitting back, the game on the TV, a cold beer in your hand. If you happen to be at the game, like M Took 45 will be on Sunday night, maybe some peanuts and Cracker Jacks, and he doesn't care if he ever gets back. And knowing Yankees Red Sox, he won't be back till 2 a.m. But anyway, thank you again, everybody, for joining us today. Chooch is in the chat. Thank you so much for your support. Joseph, Richard, Wospil. It was another fun week with you guys. I know we've been talking about this for a while. We got the first show in the books, and I can't wait to do it again with you guys next week. Thank you, everybody, and take care.
Take care, boys.
Adios.